can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views, and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives with Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives. This morning on the program Perspectives, we'll be looking at what is really happening in the political space. And talking about the political space, it is what is happening, what has just happened with the primaries of the PDP. It has thrown up Atiku Abubakar, former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, waiting for that of the APC. But one thing is coming out now, and that's about delegates. Now, I've read so much about delegates, and what is coming out about the issues or matters on delegates for us this morning is not an interesting one at all. That delegates are the problem of Nigeria, so said one caption that I saw this morning. And another caption said that Nigeria can't be united, can't be one because of the atrocities, especially money atrocities that are linked with delegates. Now, I've read too about some of the people that were thrown up in the primaries and about what delegates did to them, disappointment that delegates did, and so much so that it had come to a situation now that these aspirants that we saw, at state level incoming, are demanding for money that was given out. I saw a skit somewhere where, this man was being thrown up and, down with a lot of blues on his head for the aspirant that said that he gave him money but realized that, the delegate did not vote for him, so he wanted his money back. Of course, we also remember what happened, or what, in Kaduna State too, that the son of Vice President of Nigeria is demanding for his money. I saw a woman too who had come out, saying that and throwing all sorts of tantrums, that her money had to be returned to her and given, a date for this money to be returned. And, we saw what happened in Delta State after, an aspirant had come out, and the delegates or, people were saying winner, that he had won, only for the announcement, to be given to someone that the person had won. The man slumped, that's how bad this thing can go. So delegates in our politics and how much, damage they can do to who becomes, the flag bearer of that party. It is the delegates, of course, that will decide that this is the man we want. We saw what happened with the PDP primaries, and it threw up Atiku Abubakar. But again, it's coming out with a lot of outpours now that some people were just not happy with how the thing came about. And of course, for the Southeast now, we know what is happening in the Southeast, that they are being blamed for whatever they find, whatever situation they find in themselves now. So it's about delegates and delegates deciding for us and deciding on money. What are taking place? Money politics. Can we really avoid that in our political pursuit in this country? I'm bringing in barrister El-Zubair this morning, a lawyer and a public affairs analyst that he is, to look at the issues of delegates in the Nigerian politics, and especially when it concerns primaries, that these delegates decide, to bring out the flag bearer of, their parties. And so what they do, and of course what the Constitution says about it all, that delegates would have to do that. So Barrister El-Zubair, good morning and glad to have you on our show today.
It's a great pleasure, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Well, the PDP had just concluded its primaries, and we saw Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, picking the ticket of the PDP. And so, he's the one, he's the main man. Now, he's been going around, and extending hands of friendship, and of course, being magnanimous in his victory, that this victory is for all. But again, it's not going down well. It's going down with a pinch of salt with some of the aspirants too, who had said that they saw betrayal. Yesom Wike had come out to say, about the southern governors that he saw betrayal, and that they would suffer for what, they had done to. Well, again, we're talking politics now, and so the best would take it. But again, about the issues of delegates, the caption I read was that delegates are the problems of Nigeria because they throw up these people who are flag bearers of their party. Talking about delegates and how much they do or how much damage they do in, throwing up flag bearers to us from parties. What are your thoughts here?
First of all, we must say that since the inception of election in Nigeria since 1957, there has never been a despicable role played by the delegates like the current political process in 2022. Delegates election did not start today. Delegates election has been with Nigeria since 1957 in all the major political parties of that time. And even the national leaders of those times were elected by delegates. The convention of the action group, the convention of the NCNC, the convention of the MPC, the convention of the United Middle Belt Congress, and the convention of the NEFU were all done through delegates. So since that time, delegates election has been with us, and although the delegate at that time had not become notorious for the role that he plays in collecting money from a candidate in order to shortchange the majority of the people, with time, delegates become notorious because in 1963, when the delegates were elected, especially in the action group and the NCNC, there were problems that came up which even broke those parties. The NCNC was broken into the Zikist, and the action group had a splinter group which formed the NNDC. All this was due to delegates' behavior of that time in 1963. In 1979, we also witnessed the role of delegates. Delegates were the ones that elected the officials of that time, veto all other elections up to 2022, which we are witnessing now. There was a break in 1992 at the local government level and at the political party levels when the regime of President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida insisted that people must vote directly for those people who will run the affairs of the party and for those people who will govern them. That time witnessed direct elections nationwide. The CPC as a political party also tried and replicated the direct primaries election. But out of these two examples, all other elections in Nigeria were done by the delegates. The delegate derives his power from the Electoral Act, which makes it mandatory for political parties to choose one of three options when electing officials, either by direct primaries, either by delegate election, or by consensus. The delegate option favors the political class because they are the ones, if it is a delegate election, that will decide who will become what, either in a political party or occupying a position of government politically in the country. So it is because of this that delegates election has become notorious. But the role of the delegates in the 2022 primaries, especially primaries of the major political parties, is very, very damning and frustrating. But the reason is that, before now, there were over 2,000 delegates for each of the political parties because it involves statutory delegates and other delegates to be appointed by the political parties. Now, the Electoral Act has prone the number of delegates to only include those delegates that were elected at their vote by the people. Even that, you notice that some of the delegates, and in fact, it is majority of them, that were appointed by the political party goons and the governors because they are the ones more interested in what the delegates will do. So in 2022, we had fewer delegates, and so the stake became higher. For example, at the PDP convention, which chose the presidential candidate, there were supposed to be 774 delegates. But because of some crisis in some local governments in the political party, only about 687 delegates were there. So the stake became high. So the money to be spent on over 2,000 delegates will now be spent on only 600 delegates. That is why the papers have reported, and even some television houses, that a single delegate at the PDP election, for example, raked more than 25 and some even $50,000. If you translate this into our naira, you will see that each delegate at that election is today a multimillionaire. That is why Nigerians are decrying their action, because as delegates of the general population, they are supposed to be perceptive, they are supposed to be careful, they are supposed to look before they leap, they are supposed to think of the future of their children also, they are supposed to look at our health care, they are supposed to think of the roads on which they travel before they reach Abuja. They are supposed to think of those aged mothers and fathers at home who cannot access medicine. They were supposed to think of all the issues affecting us, and especially for those northern delegates, especially those from Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna, and Niger states. They were supposed to pay more attention to whether they can be able to go back to farm if they exhaust the money that they have before electing those people at the election. But the delegates closed their eyes to all these issues and look at only their own personal sentiments and aggrandizement and voted along that line for pecuniary interest. That is why today the delegate is a subject of discourse in our national discussions. And sometimes, maybe if the universities were open today, many universities will hold conferences about national questions, and the theme may be the delegates. This is because of the despicable role which the delegates this year have played in the election. But we are yet to see the end of it, because the APC convention is coming up next week. That will be the mother of all delegation. Although I see that the APC will insist on a consensus candidate, as they did nationwide, yet what will happen is that the delegates will also wreck what the PDP delegates have already wrecked. So it is this reason that the delegates has become a notoriously despicable personality in our political history today.
Let me bring again to you, Barrister. One of the things, accusations that were labeled on delegates was by Nyesom Wike. He said he saw a governor at the convention who did not come with delegates. Is that possible?
Yes. It is when you look at that PDP convention, it is very, very funny, sir. And it brought out a lot of salient issues about agitations, about Nigerians' tribal postures, about Nigerians' religious postures, and about our regional agitations. The former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayoshi, contested the election, sir. There are 16 delegates from Ekiti State, but he didn't have a single delegate. And those people that voted from Ekiti State are people that are from that state. They are Yoruba. They are ones agitating for Odua State, just like Fayoshi. But you can see they didn't vote for him. One of the regions that is clamoring for autonomy is the Southeast region. The Southeast region is notorious for its agitation, so much so that IPOP, which is the organization representing this arrowhead of the agitation, makes it mandatory for everybody in the Southeast on specified days to stay at home without coming out of their houses. Pius Anyim is in line with that agitation, and he contested the presidential election. He is from Imo State. Pius Anyim only got about 18 votes of the delegates. It is supposed to be that all Southeast delegates are replicated and will have voted for him, but they did not. Despite this agitation, despite his love for the Southeast, despite that he is somebody that will represent their interests, those delegates rejected him for the money that they got. Now take Wisom Wike. Wike was not voted because they love him. No. He was not voted only by the Niger Delta people, because there are other Niger Delta aspirants who also got votes. Wike was voted across the country, across board, by delegates who went for the pecuniary interest instead of Nigeria. Atiku Abubakar got the highest votes. Actually, political pundits have suggested that if not for the withdrawal of the Sokoto state governor at the last minute, because of pressures received from some of the northern political elites, probably Wike will be holding the PDP flag today. Atiku Abubakar was voted across board. People who wanted the money and did not want Nigeria to progress just took the money and voted for the highest bidder. So he was not wrong. But the truth is that the delegates do not have consideration for either Nigeria or even the regional and tribal agitations. They didn't pay attention to the religious issue, just like the political elites are doing. What the delegates did was to just look at the money. What will the money do for me? What is my own in this? Let the person win and let me also win. To hell with anybody at home who thinks that I am patriotic. To hell with the Nigerian nation if they think that they will progress without myself becoming rich. So the elites, just like the delegates, were looking at the pecuniary and personal interest instead of the Nigerian question. Instead of saying these are issues that our people have mandated us about. Let's take for example the APC, which will hold its convention next week. They claim that they have 4 million registered members. Of these 40 million registered members, remember, only 774 will vote at the convention. This 774 will represent 4 million people. Is it even fair like that? It is not fair. But let's agree that this is the method adopted by the political parties. When they come, they will not look at these 40 million members, not to talk of the over 200 million Nigerians. They will just look at their particular, specific, personal pecuniary interests and how the money they will collect will interest them and improve their personal lives. To hell with Nigeria itself, to hell with anybody in their political party who is suffering, to hell with Nigerians who daily come out to toil, running helter-skelter between the poles, looking for sustenance to survive. To hell with all these people if I'm going to collect the money that will make me survive as a person. And that is the thinking of the same elites who are ruling us. So the delegates only adopted those things that the elites are doing. And Wike has a reason to come out and disagree with the issues, because he went to that convention believing that he will be the one to hold the flag of the PDP. He had already marked out what will happen. If you observe, I don't know whether you saw his convoy when he came into the arena. He had about more than 50 marked luxurious buses which carried people, and they came into the arena. The first question any Nigerian, and in fact anybody from Rivers State will ask, is where did Wike even get this money to procure these luxurious buses? Now the delegates, if a delegate will rake about $25,000, $25,000 will translate into about 32 or 34 million naira. How can a single delegate just coming to vote for a candidate rake about 33 or 34 million just to get his vote, a single vote for a person? You can see that even the political elites are not sincere, because they are not coming to run the country patriotically. They are not coming to run the country according to the constitution. They are not coming to run the country based on the promises that will make the people elect them. They are not coming to run the country based on decorum, based on due process, based on respect and honesty. What they actually intend to do is to invest. And in fact, they have invested in those conferences, in those conventions. Their investment will be reaped the moment that they are declared winners. And this is not only pertaining to the PDP, not only pertaining to the APC. Even those other parties are doing the same. And this is not pertaining only to the presidential election. It pertains to the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, senatorial and gubernatorial elections. They are raking money at all levels, and their intention is further to come and wreck the economy of Nigeria. So we are going to go into a recession that is worse unless God looks upon us and provide other avenues for us. But the future is bleaker than it is now. And the leaders will be more wicked than they are now because of the investment they have done, which they knew that they will not have been voted had it not been for the fact that they gave out those money.
And look at it this other way too, barrister. We're talking about a country that needs youthful, appearance, at leadership level. We're also talking about youths, energetic youths who are the mainstay of any economy to have, to be in position of leadership. And of course, looking at it again, that the not too young bill had been signed into law for youths, to come, into the mainstay of the nation, so that we see them. Can delegates look at the youths of this Nigeria and make a difference about the choices they make for the flag bearers?
The question is, does the youth have money? That's what the delegate will first ask. Does the youth has money to give me? Do they have the money even to Ghana and give me?
I'm questioning their patriotism now, that if patriotism was to come into play, and to come into the minds of the delegates, would they look and make a choice of who to give Nigeria a focus and a direction by looking at the youth and not minding the money or the attractions that this could bring?
I've already told you that they are selfish because they are not patriotic. If it were patriotism, we will not be talking about these people today. There are many lies that the Nigerian nation have been telling its citizens. One of them is the not too young to run, which is a legislation signed by the president. It is a deception, although it is a law. But I can tell you that law is a complete deception of the younger generation. And the younger generation is not ready yet to take their destinies into their hands. The younger generation is lazy. The younger generation is visionless, just as the political elites. The younger generation does not have an agenda of its own, and the younger generation does not want to struggle for power. The condition of the younger generation of Nigerians came handy about what Sheikh Anta Diop, that Senegalese philosopher, said about the youths some 50 years ago. Pondering over the conditions of African youths during the anti-colonial struggle, after some countries have gained independence, Sheikh Anta Diop just look at the conditions, especially of the Senegalese and African youths, and make these words. He said, I want to sleep, but the indolence of the younger generation will not allow me to sleep. If you ponder over these words of Sheikh Anta Diop, you will think that he is even talking about Nigerian youths. Nigerian youths, take the Bet Niger for example. Nigerian youths on a single birthday for a Bet Niger celebrity, on a single day for a Bet Niger celebrity, Nigerian youths will contribute through their funds money running into about 13 million for a single celebrity. But when it comes to taking their destiny into their hands, the Nigerian youths cannot even unite. If the youths were united, and if they took that deceptive law seriously, Nigerian youths will have come out with candidates, in fact, with a single candidate at the presidential level, and pool their resources together, and they will defeat any candidate that will come up with whatever money he has. But do they have the vision to do that? They do not have. And the political elites, especially the older ones, they have already ruined the country. They will soon be going to their graves. They want to leave the country ruined when they die. The youths who are going to remain here will inherit a ruined country, but they will not even have the experience to run the country because they are not involved in governance. Those youths who have the chance to contest were sponsored either by the elderly political elites or their parents who have stolen government funds and are occupying government positions and have insisted that their children must inherit them. So these are the caliber of youths that you see that will go to the houses of assembly, that will go to the houses of representatives, a few of them to the Senate, and a few of them becoming governors. It is a family compact rulership. In the near future, the Nigerian youths will be completely ruined, such that only members of families will be running Nigeria across the states, and there's nothing that the Nigerian youths will do. Today is the time for Nigerian youths to define their destiny. Today is the time for the Nigerian youths to take their destiny into their hands. Today is the time for the Nigerian youths to shine their eyes and refuse to be bandits, and refuse to be political talks, and refuse to be given money to share, and refuse to be burning and killing political opponents. Unless the youths retrace their steps and take a patriotic steps for the majority and overwhelming majority of Nigerians, there's no way that the elderly, visionless, kleptomaniac political elites will not continue to have their way. And that is the danger for this country and for the future. The not too young to run legislation was only signed by the president when the National Assembly and the president knew that they were deceiving the Nigerian youth. Because a youth has finished the university at the age of 32. He had completed his NYSC when he was 33. He went to a government office or applied for jobs all over the place. If he goes to a single office, they will tell him you are not a Hausa man. If he goes to another office, they will tell him you are not a Christian. If he goes to another office, they will tell him he is a Southerner. In his village, if he goes to the local government secretariat, they will ask, to which political party does his father belong? So in the end, this youth that has finished his NYSC at the age of 33 will now translate into a 47-year-old man. He will not be married and he will remain jobless. These are the people that have refused to take their destiny into their hands. Unless they do that, a lot of the youths will die looking at Nigeria as it is, and lamenting and regretting and crying and getting frustrated every day about our conditions. It is left to them to take their destiny into their hands. If they look at the history of Nigeria, and indeed the history of the anti-colonial struggles in Africa, in Asia, in Indochina, and in the Southern American countries, they will see that independence will not have been attained if not for the youths. In Nigeria, for example, do you know that all those that struggle for the independence, Gogo Nzeribe, Aminu Kanu, Folake Solanke, Margaret Eko, Abubakar Zukogi, and all the other barefooted nationalists that struggle for independence, do you know that they were only between the ages of 30 and 37 at the time? But the British government handed over government to the lackeys of imperialism, whom you people now refer as to the national heroes. You call Awolowo, you call Ahmadu Bello, you call Tafawa Balewa. Those people who did not even struggle for the independence, but were given power on the altar of their closeness to the colonial officials. Today, Nigeria has been run as it has been run since the First Republic, giving powers to those people who do not merit it, who ruin power, and who institute parochialism, who institute sentiments, who institute things that are not necessary, leaving the masses and the entire Nigerian population raking, hungry. We cannot even access anything that is good for our lives. So the youths need to take a retrospective position about where they are and look at the past and know that they have the energy, they have the vibrancy, they have the brain, they have the wisdom, They have the strength. They have everything to translate Nigeria into a great country that was vision of the true nationalists who struggled for Nigerian independence.
The program is Perspectives and it's coming to you on Invicta 98.9 and sharing thoughts with us on delegates and what they do for the future of Nigeria. Barrister El-Zubair with me on the program. We'll go for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be ready for another turn of the program.
Okay. Wake up. Let's wake up.
Good morning, everybody.
And what a beautiful morning it
and
is.
Smell the coffee.
Let's get started, shall we?
Wake up and smell the coffee. On the Coffee Morning Drive, 98.9 Invicta FM.
Perceptions could change. Opinions can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives. With Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning, and we're looking at delegates and what they do in terms of would they throw up as flag bearers of political parties. Now, I've seen one caption saying that delegates are the problem of Nigeria. You know, that they keep recycling, you know, old ones or older leaders, and so that are not equipped, you know, for leadership in the country. And this is the subject of discussion this morning. And Barrister El-Zubair sharing thoughts with me on delegates and their unpatriotism as it is. And that's what he's saying, that money has taken over. And so with money, they turn the other eye, or they turn the other cheek, or they turn the other side and look at where the money comes from. And so Nigerians will may be made to go through another 4 years of all we're seeing today. That's not working well with us. Barrister El-Zubair, let me also bring an issue here about a candidate, a presidential candidate who had decamped from the PDP, and that's talking about the man Peter Obi, a former governor of Anambra State. You know, Peter Obi, as we know him, is a rich man, so to say. He belongs to a rich class. He's an industrialist, as he is, and so many, you know, blue chip companies are, you know, tied to his name today. But he had to leave the PDP to move to the Labour Party, and of course had even emerged today as its flag bearer, presidential flag bearer. For a man like Peter Obi, you know, that would bow or throw in the towel at the time that for the Southeast, you know, would need him as the governor, because he said he could not, you know, the kind of money thing that he saw people throwing around, you know, his other colleagues were throwing around, he could not stand it, so he had to look for another party to go into. So, you know, people like that, and then talking about people who have vision and who would want a better Nigeria but do not have the opportunities to. Again, on the issues of delegates, we saw deception, we saw betrayal, as Nyesom Wike had said about the South, you know, southern governors as it is. And so, delegates, and this will continue. When will we have a change where delegates may make the change, you know, a good change for Nigeria, or because it is constitutional, can we do away with that? And when can we, you know, go around delegates and, you know, bring the best candidates for Nigeria in any of the parties?
Yes, the delegates are the problem, but the issues are beyond the delegates. The issue is the entire political system. The political system is rotten. If you look at it very well, take the major political parties. If you are going to go for the position of the president, you buy a form at the rate of 100 million. In the PDP, you buy the form at the rate of 50 million for the presidency, and like that downwards. Now, right from the process of showing interest, the political parties have indicated that if you are not wealthy, you need not even approach their political party. Because in a country where the entire system is falling apart, where the entire system is not working, where insecurity bedevils the citizens every day, where university teachers and other people in the public sector are always owing government and are on strikes because government has failed to fulfill their obligations of even paying salaries. In a country where majority of our children cannot even access primary school, where farmers cannot access fertilizer, where no single citizen is living according to how God has destined for him. It is in this country that buying a form to serve the people will entail that you must even pay first 100 million to obtain a form, or 50 million as it were. Now, if you buy that form, do you know that that is just an ice of the this is just a tip of the iceberg? Because what you will spend in the course of your campaigns, in the course of going around the country, will even triple that amount. In fact, some people say that you need about 6 billion naira to contest the presidency of Nigeria if you have to go around to ask for people's votes and give them money. So this is the situation in the country, and that is why any reasonable Nigerian, if you look at the prospects, even if you are patriotic, even if you want the country, you will see that you do not have these resources to go into this kind of contest. Before Peter Obi, you know that Muhammad Hayatuddin opted out of the contest. His reason is that he saw the money that people are spending, that he does not have that kind of money. And Hayatuddin has been in the highest echelon of Nigerian banking industry in the nearly last 30 years. So he is not poor, but he cannot be able to withstand the rot and the level of spending that the politicians were doing. And what you should even ask yourself is, these politicians that are spending this money, were their fathers merchants? Their fathers, were they traders? Were their fathers great farmers in their villages? Okay, they themselves, does any of them have a shop in any of our markets across the country? In fact, majority of the money that was being spent and is going to be spent at these conventions are money stolen from federal and state government coffers. These are monies that were meant for development, but which were carted away. And they are coming back to spend this money on us. And the delegates cannot even open their eyes to that reality. Nigerians cannot open their eyes to that reality. That is the danger. And that is why Mr. Peter Obi opted also out of that contest. He saw that the contest was becoming the stake was becoming higher in the contest to serve his country. He could not withstand the amount of money that were being given to the delegates when the contestants go to address them in the various states. And what they tell the delegates is not that we will work for Nigeria. No, they don't tell them those things. They just remove money and give to the delegates and say, okay, this money is for the delegates. So million is for the officials of the political party. So million is for the youths. So million is for the woman leader and her people. So million is for the elders. Like that. They will not make any promise about what they intend to do if they are elected, because people have already collected money. And watch out, sir, in the general election, watch each of them. They will not make promises. If they will have their way, they will just tell the crowd that will listen that I have given so amount to so group, and the people will be hailing like in northern Nigeria, say kai, say kai, say kai. And in the south, they will be saying, nobody like you, you must do it, like that. And these people will be elected, whether we like it or not, because they are the only crop of Nigerians that have been able to pass through the primary election because of their money power. That is why Peter Obi opted out of the election. And that is why you see the Ohanaeze in the Igbo is very, very angry about what has happened, especially at the PDP convention. They look at their honesty to their party. They look at their attachment with the PDP. They look at how faithful they have been to the party, and they thought that this was their chance. Although the Ohanaeze itself did not look at the prospect of the level of spending that will be done at these campaigns. But they ought to know, because in the past, Ohanaeze had even shortchanged the Indi Igbo by collecting money from politicians and making pronouncements that the Indi Igbo should vote for so-so candidate, people who are outside their region. So these are the kind of people that are running our country. And even at the cultural levels, these are the people that are running the country. If you look at the statement by the South and Middle Belt Leaders Forum, they are also opposed to what happened at the convention. And they are talking like that because people like Ayatuddin and Peter Obi have opted out of that contest because of the level of money that was used and the anger towards the delegates. The delegates do not mind. They are not even listening to us now. Because with those millions, I'm sure some of them have already jetted out of the country. Some of them will have married new wives, and they are inside their wives' rooms, taking the good time and the honeymoon. Some of them are having their good time now, and so they will not even listen to what we are saying. What they are waiting for is the general election, because some of the politicians will still use them as gateways to get to the ordinary voters who will vote on the days of election. So I think what we should do, sir, is for the Nigerian people to now take their destiny, just as I said of the youths, into their hands. Among those people that are elected, we can look at those who probably will be better than the others and elect them. If we are able to elect a few of them, perchance we may be able to do better at the next election. But for now, I look at our country falling into more dangerous situations, our economy crumbling, the insecurity issues not being solved. The ASU and other public sector workers will continue to cry unless they look at the plights of the ordinary people. And the ordinary people who do not access food once a day today, it will be worse for us because we may not access food for 3 days in future. And that is what I foresee. Unless at the election, if we are able to do the needful by electing people that we think will change the destiny of Nigeria positively.
Time for us to get across to the audience there. Let's get your views too on what we've been talking about this morning. Nigeria in our hands, and of course we can make the difference with our votes. Here's where barrister El-Zubair is saying that at the general elections that Nigerians could still make a change with the choices they make. And so on numbers 081 40,000 989, you can reach us on numbers 081 40,000 989 or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. Taking your calls now. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Yes. You are also Engineer Manuel.
All right, Engineer Manuel.
I think just honestly for me, these are the kind of people that have come on board. So it makes my day. He has spoken as a true Nigerian. But the question I want to ask him,
Can't
the position of people that whenever they buy vote, the way we saw people now, delegate now are the big boy, they are the new sheriff in town. Each delegate now, with our calculation, has over 30 million naira. So where are the EFCC? Where are the ICPC? For me, is that.
Okay, I got you on that, Engineer Emmanuel. I like that question. Barrister, let me bring you to Engineer Emmanuel's question. In all of this spending, and on delegates and all of that, you ask, Engineer is asking, where are the EFCC, the financial institutions, to take charge or to look into it? Because again, we saw their presence at the conventions, but they saw nothing, and in fact, it's been said that the delegates were just laughing at them. But you ask the ICPC, the EFCC, the police, and all of that, to check on these people. Where were they, and what could they have done?
The EFCC and the ICPC in their act have mandates to go to any scene where they suspect that there may be financial crimes. So even without invitation, they had the right to attend those conventions. But what is happening is that most of these monies that the papers and the radio houses have reported were not shared at the convention venue. In fact, before the delegates left their various destinations from the various states, the politicians who were interested in them or their agents will have already booked hotel rooms for them where they will stay. So they already know where to meet the delegates. These hotels were marked, and the people will go there and meet them and discuss whatever they will discuss, and then agree on whatever they want to agree. And they will share those money in those hotel rooms or designated places where nobody will be there. So the EFCC came to the venue at an aftermath of what infamous actions have taken place. That is why they even asked the television houses to beam what will happen at the convention, because you will not see anybody at the convention taking money. Monies have already been taken. All that the delegates needed to do was to come and vote in accordance with the money collected. So the EFCC at that venue will not detect anything untoward. They will just be reading in the newspapers like we have read that so amount was shared, but the evidence will not be clear. Okay. Yet, it is necessary for the EFCC to investigate these things. It is necessary for the Inspector General of Police to investigate it and look at the mandate of INEC. It is necessary for INEC to look at these issues and see whether it is possible to start disqualifying candidates on the basis of their political spending. It is necessary for the ICPC to look at these issues and come to terms that the corruption that is going on at the level of the political parties is much more than the one that is even going in some government offices. These are the challenges before the security officers. But whether they will do it is another issue. Because in Nigeria, they will allow you to steal before they announce to us, before EFCC or the police take you. Then they will take you to court. The judge will grant you bail, and you will be a free citizen again. You will come out and continue to spend your money. After 3 years, the newspapers will write like this: Ahmed Idris, a patriotic Nigerian and a pious northern Muslim, has done it again. It will be the headline of newspapers in the next 3 years. Just watch out, sir, if we are alive. You will see that the Accountant General, in the next 3 years, a person standing trial today for over 170 billion naira theft. In the next 3 years, just watch the newspapers. They will write captions like Ahmed Idris, a patriotic Nigerian and a pious northern Muslim, and they will grant him interview, and he will be talking or reminiscing about his good conduct in office and how he helped Nigeria attain prosperity when he was Accountant General. And the cycle continues like this for the ordinary poor Nigerians.
Okay, still with calls, and of course on our Facebook page we have our followers there, and let me take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to
your name, please. Your name.
My name is Chidi Martins, Jr., sir.
Chidi Martins. All right. Okay.
I think what barrister El-Zubair has said, he has said it all. What anybody is going to say is going to be a mere addendum. So it's unfortunate that the trajectory of that's supposed to be a source of entrenching democracy is being destroyed through mammoth and the humongous buying of nomination forms. But like he rightly said, sir, how can we get it right? If after delegates have collected all these monies from these politicians, and these people won the primaries and become their party flag bearers, how can we get it right at the polling unit when these same people that have contributed immensely in sucking our country dry, how can we change it? How do we change the narratives after the deed has been done? Okay. Have a wonderful morning, Toyin, Alabi.
All right, Chidi Martins, thank you on that. We'll get across to Bryce there, but let's just go to our Facebook page, see what's coming out there. Joe.
All right, on the comment section, Pius Sylvester says, to be candid, Mr. Toyin, delegates are serious threats in our democratic system. It should be looked upon and something should be done rapidly about it. It's a bad experience and it's just a plain fact. Also, Francis Omaga Namani says, watching live from Amagunze in Enugu State, vote buying and money bag politics have been the order of the day in Nigeria. Where will this take Nigerians to? We need credible, quality and good leaders with antecedents to rule this country. May God help us. Emmanuel Dodon says, good morning, Invicta. In my own opinion, this morning is that all delegates of Nigeria are corrupt for the fact that they collected money from the aspirants and choose bad leaders for us. So please, the Senate and the House of Assembly should look into this barbaric attitude of these delegates. May God bless Invicta and your guest in the studio. Cheesy J says, after all the preparations for almost a decade for these elections, this is what we get. Honestly, Nigeria is frustrating. Please, what's the name of your guest? I'd love to follow him. I'd love to follow him. He's a real Democrat. Alheri Habila, First Lady here, says, good morning, presenter. My name is Grace Habila from Sabo. You are doing a great job. All right, we see you. Obadiah Ayuba says, good morning, Mr. Toyin, and the guest. The guest has spoken very well, and he has made my day. I pray that youths will wake up from our sleep and do the needful. Do have a nice day. Jonathan Gomez, that's the last one now, says, good morning, Mr. Toyin, and your wonderful guest. These are voices we need to fix the country. My question is, can we ever have a credible election if the leader of a party is the employer of the INEC officials? And I think there was a message that was sent on WhatsApp, and the person didn't send it here, but I think I'll just take it. He says, good morning, Victoria's Station. Honestly, your guest has said it all. Honestly, I love the way he analyzed things. He happens to be one of my favorites. Kudos to him. J. Abrahams from Meguru. Good morning, Mr. Toyin Alabi, and the guest. For the first time, I'm listening to a guest who has described Nigeria and the Nigerian politics exactly as it is. Thank you, barrister. Please, Mr. Toyin, can you repeat this interview again tomorrow and another day? Dan from Sabo.
All right, okay.
Yeah, and the last one says, good morning, sir. To be honest, these people who are less than 1% of Nigeria who today decide who millions of Nigerians should vote in elections are not just the problem, but the major problem of Nigeria, and must importantly to us as Nigerian youths, and we know them. They are in our society. They will come back to us one day for votes, and they will tell them what they have done to us.
Right, barrister, you had them on our Facebook page, and of course, the thoughts of those commentaries. But again, barrister, your last line will do here. But on the last line too, we've just seen it that delegates are deciding or have decided what millions of Nigerians, who millions of Nigerians will go out to vote for. And so the choices we make here, again, barrister, making the right choices, as Chidi Martins had, dropped in.
Yes, Mr. Chidi Martins is right. The die is not cast yet. So there's still an opening for the Nigerian electorate. The delegates have done their own. Of course, the people they will all vote for us are people who are money bags. But Nigerians have the final decision. Nigerians can opt for candidates that they feel are better than the ones in other political parties. We look at individuals. We look at the persons who will uplift us. We look at the persons who understand our conditions. We look at the persons whom we trust that may be able in future, as they rule, to be able to look at things objectively. Not the same cycle of leaders who have been ruining our lives, who have been running the country based on their personal interests, to then again vote them at the general election. We can look at new candidates that some political parties have nominated and are standing in at the general election. And if we feel that these are better, we can mobilize ourselves to vote such candidates so that we can have a little change and a little shift from what we have been having year in, year out since 1999. Now, finally, sir, what I will add is that Nigeria is a prosperous country. Nigeria is still a country that has a lot of prospect. It's a very wealthy nation. Nigerians should unite, irrespective of their lingual, irrespective of their ethnic, irrespective of their regional, irrespective of their religious, irrespective of their sectional, irrespective of their geographic sentiments. Let us unite for the purpose of Nigeria and come up with a template that is acceptable to all Nigerians, not the present set of rulers that are ruining things and ruining our lives and our future.
Barrister Yakubu El-Zubair, we thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you,
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And that'll just be about the size of the program. Perspectives today with Barrister Yakubu El-Zubair. It's been, food for thought that is giving us Nigerians, to ponder on. Job, thank you for connecting us with the people. Wisdom, we thank you for putting us in the pictures. We'll come back with perspectives tomorrow. Have a good day.
Every day, baby.
This is the station playing today's best mix.
Terrific.
FM.